Good morning, our guest speakers. Good morning, our participants for our district conference. What a great start this morning with the first session about young generation and youth. I would like also to again welcome our guest speakers, His Excellency Ministry of Youth and Sport Affairs of Bahrain, our past president of Rotaract Club of Bahrain, Selail, and the district Rotaract representative, Jelena Cvetkovic. Your Excellency, Mr. Ayman Almoayed, thank you for such an inspirational story. Your encouragement to have known that the Ministry of Youth and Sports Affairs are in full motivation for improvement on our youth. We have many questions for you, Your Excellency. Good morning again. It's nice to have you with us. The first question from Rotarian Robert Timmer from Rotary Club of Manama. What does Bahrain, and in particular, your ministry, do to encourage or facilitate youth entrepreneurship?
Thank you, Nijad, for your question, and thank you for having me here once again. So very, very simply, entrepreneurship is a very important mandate that we try to embrace. One of the most important things that we do is we have formed a new entity called Hope Fund. Hope Fund looks at facilitating, seeding, catalyzing, and then also expanding youth ventures. So what we do is, and this is being activated as we speak, this was formed a few months ago only, and you'll see it in full swing by the end of the year. So effectively, this is an angel investment arm. This is an accelerator program. And so what our job is to make sure that our kids have the necessary skills that they will acquire through programs and mentorships with us and with members of civil society. Number two, what we also do is we look for partnerships with these ventures from both within Bahrain and outside of Bahrain. And then we look for merger opportunities and expansion opportunities with them and for them. So Hope Fund really answers your question, and there's a lot more to come in this segment. As far as we're concerned, we think employability is our key to the future, but employability also includes self-employment. So definitely entrepreneurship is at the forefront of our priorities.
Focusing on the Hope Fund.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I have another question also for you from Margarita Popsaka. She is the Vice District Rotaract representative from United Arab Emirates. What are the professions of the future in the rescaled system?
So the professions of the future, there's the easy ones. The easy ones are data related. So we've seen this quite a bit internationally. So from a data-oriented, data crunching, data mining, programming, coding perspective, that is no doubt employment of the future. And most of our children, I think, will be well-versed in these languages going forward. But that's the easy answer. The more difficult answer is as far as disputes, for example, cross-jurisdictional disputes would be important. International trade will be extremely important, and trade in skills across borders, it will be very important. You see, there is when you look at the provision of services as a self-employed individual, you've got portals now like Upwork, for example, where you can provide your services as a translator, you can provide your services as a lawyer, an engineer, a consultant, a script writer, copywriter, and so on. You can provide those online to anyone in the world. And so the marketplace for skills has really opened up. What I would maybe go as far as saying is really the employment of the future isn't just specific professions per se, but it's also the way that we acquire businesses across or opportunities across borders. So being able to provide your services from the comfort of your home to a corporation somewhere across the world, I think that's also going to be key to every profession. So yes, we're going to coding and so on, but coding is also going to everything. But also more importantly, as far as I'm concerned, it's figuring out how to access international demand and satisfying that demand.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would like to go to another question. This from me personally. The youth summit, which you have mentioned, and the key priorities that is set on day-to-day basis, how this is done, and is there any review and survey made to analyze the performance and outcome on how to make the implementation run smooth and effective?
Yes, absolutely. So remember this. Let's take a step back. The focus, the objective is for our youths to feel safe, seen, supported, wanted, trusted, and hopeful. Okay, so these are the overall metrics. Every one of our programs is supposed to move that needle just a little bit. So we literally have dashboards that we have developed in-house over the last 2 years that track whether our kids feel safe, seen, supported, wanted, trusted, and hopeful. And so, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. When we find that certain youths are lost for direction, we have exercises with respect to future authoring that simply identifies their current state, or has them do the work of identifying their current state, identifying their future state. And then we take each one of the segments and we try to see what steps they can take to go there. So remember, with regards to synthesizing hope, with regards to making them feel hopeful, what we need to do is we need to make sure that they are empowered, and we need to make sure that they are well-versed in the steps that they need to do. And they of course, everybody is cynical in the very beginning, but once they take that one first step, change that one thing that has the ripple effect on their lives, then it becomes easy. Then at the very least, they understand that they are the ones that are writing the story of their lives. So to come back to your question, yes, absolutely. What we do is we've got those 6 dashboards. We try every program and we see whether it works. And sometimes huge programs that we spend a lot of time and effort on, we expect to have great results and do not. And programs that we do on the very side that we expect to have minimal results have great results. So it really is a trial and error sort of structure.
And of course, from your explanation, it is very important, the follow-up. I mean, this is what the ministry is always contributing, and
No question. We are always iterating. You will always notice that you've got, for example, we've got a program called Youth City. Every year is a completely different version. Not a completely different version. These are updated versions. These are evolutions of the previous program. For Youth Summit, every year's Youth Summit, or every other year's Youth Summit, is an iteration of the previous version. So we're continuously changing and evolving.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please stay with us. I will go to the Badr Selail, our second speaker, but we'll come back to you, Your Excellency. Badr, I know that you are an encouragement to the Rotaractors in your year as a president, though some challenges were to overcome, but you serve at your term greatly. Appreciated. Of course, there's no doubt, about you. My first question to you, Badr, during your term as the president of the Rotaract, what were the most important engagement that you consider that made a great impact on the youth?
Thank you very much, PDG.
Not heavy.
So the question is, what was the most impact during my year on the youth from an engagement perspective? Yes?
I will repeat it. You want me to repeat it better? Huh?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
During your term as the president of the Rotaract, what were the most important engagement that you consider that made a great impact on the youth during your year?
Well, I mean, it's during my year, it was navigating through the change that we got at the end of the year that really made a big impact on how youth can adapt so quickly. And honestly, it's I see there's a comment in the chat where there is, from past President Farid Badr, where, he's talking about change and he sees that there is resistance, for example. He also talks about agility and being nimble. And that's a skill set that the youth have that is very easy it's very easy for us to adapt to what's happening because we don't have a lot of conditioning over a long period of time, such as those that are the older generations. I think the things that kept us driving and kept us going was we just continuing doing what we do regardless of the circumstances. We just adapted to the situation that we're in and we started planning for the way that the new world is. We continued to implement projects, putting people in charge of things and, just the normal way that we do things, but, suited to the current restrictions that we have here. I think we didn't do much change really, in a sense. We just adapted to what was happening around us and just continuing the drive and not taking a pause was things that kept us going and helped enhance the engagement, honestly.
Let me to go to another one, maybe to follow about, as a member of the district committee, as international liaison officer, do you have any plans to set the programs or project that will develop leadership and enhance integrity among the youth? Do you have any plans?
Such programs, honestly, already exist in abundance within Rotary, honestly. We, as you know, we were involved in RILA, which we did on a district level, the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, which were done hand in hand by Rotaract Club of Bahrain and Rotary Club of Adliya, in which we had participants from all the countries in the district. So, I mean, these are just sometimes we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are already things out there. There are already programs. There are already organizations out there that help develop these attributes. And we just need to adapt them and change them to our current environment that we're living in, really. It's not so much as we need to reinvent the wheel, but it's just changing it and updating it to what's happening today in the world. That's what's really important. We can't expect to operate in the same manner as we did 1 year ago, 6 months ago. Every single day you get a change in laws and regulations. Today you can travel here, today you can't travel here. Today you should stay at home, tomorrow you shouldn't stay at home, or you can go out of your house. So I think this period really was a big eye-opener for a lot of us that really circumstances will make you change if you don't accept the change for yourself.
Thank you very much, Badr.
Thank you.
Good luck. And as usual, you are enthusiastic and God bless you. Let me go to this DRR, Jelena Cvetkovic. Jelena, we are grateful for your participation on this 8th district conference. And though it's virtual, we still come to know and meet the young people like you. So welcome again for having you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Jelena, I have the first question from Past President Farid Badr. from Rotary Club of Manama. How should we balance between experience and the inevitable changes?
Well, inevitable changes is a very strong point that was brought forward. This year, and I think the previous year as well, we have learned what it means to adapt to changes, unprecedented changes, circumstances. But in terms of balance, it really has to do with the people involved. There are Rotaractors who come to the organization and they are very young, and often they will need more guidance until they come to a point where they will be more independent in handling certain things. But then we do have Rotaractors that are part of our youth that are quite knowledgeable as it is, but what they would require is some additional guidance from more experienced members of our organization in order to create that balance. So if you ask me how we can create the balance in the circumstances of change, I will say that we should have diversity within our committees. We should have people from different backgrounds, different ages, ideally, and put together, I think we can overcome quite a lot that comes our way.
Thank you, Jelena. Of course, as you said, and we have to remember always, the change is very important. I know change is always is the most people hate, but it's the only way to progress and to develop. So, with you,
I would like to add to this point that I don't think that we should hate the changes. I think we should embrace them, because no matter how many changes and circumstances and challenges we face, it is an opportunity to learn. And if we embrace it that way, we will develop even more as leaders, and we will be able to handle much more in the future. And on this opportunity, I also want to thank the district for giving me this opportunity this year, this specific year, to be a DRR of our district, because it has been an experience for me that I have learned so much through. So through the challenges that we together dealt with, I feel that I have personally evolved as a leader, and I certainly know that my Rotaract district committee did, and the presidents and the clubs. It's been a nice year, a very, very nice and productive year for us.
You did a great job. You know, you were excellent, and you achieved your goals and tasks. Congratulations. Just fast, as per the project that you have in Cyprus, were it proven liable and visible to encourage a joint association with other countries in District 2452?
Absolutely. This is, in fact, the third time that we have hosted a conference that is not part of our district. We have hosted for the second time Medicon, which is the Rotaract Mediterranean MDIO convention. And we have also hosted in Cyprus the Rotaract Europe MDIO annual convention as well, 2018. I have to say that every time we have made this kind of project, we enhanced our leadership, we enhanced our network, and we definitely met a lot of people from outside of the district, which as a result brought us together, and we did joint projects. I can tell you that we had a very productive peace forum that was also streamed online, so it's possible to view it at any moment. And a lot of projects have come through that session. So although we dedicated 2 hours of our program to the Peace Forum, and it might seem little, there's already, as we speak, projects getting initiated and will be carried out in the incoming months. So I think that it was definitely productive if we've come to a point to create continuity and an effect and impact in our communities.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Elena. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. I will go back now to His Excellency, Mr. Ayman Tawfiq Almoayed. I have just a couple of questions. Dear Your Excellency, sorry today we are bothering you a little bit, but tolerate with us. Thank you.
Happy to answer.
Habib, thank you. Your Excellency, this question from Siri Kumar from Rotary Club of Manama. Do you see technology negatively affecting the youth? For example, less human interaction?
Yeah, look, this is something that we look at very, very closely particularly when it comes to education. What we've seen now recently, both with education and with working from home. The number of hours that are spent by youths in front of the screens are excessive at best. And so as far as we're concerned, there are pros and cons. The pros are you're saving on logistics and you're saving on transportation. The pros are as far as upskilling. You have access to information, to university courses. For example, if you look at Udacity, if you look at iTunes U, if you look at Khan Academy, similar, you can be taught a skill by the best teacher in the world, and you can interact with them directly. So the jurisdictional limits are not there. But as far as its impact on social interaction, absolutely, there is no question that is a serious element. And that is why, both prior to COVID and now after COVID, hopefully, what we're focusing on is social integration and social connections. And that is why I think programs such as Rotary, Rotaract, Interact, and the like are so important, because it sort of forces a member to come in and interact and cooperate and collaborate within their programs. But the answer is yes, definitely. Sitting in front of the screen for 18 hours a day, no question, has a vast array of impacts on the individual.
Your Excellency, one of the other programs in Rotary, Rotary Youth Leadership Award, which is RILA, we call it. This is the same, this is more interaction, between the Rotarian, non-Rotarian, socially, locally. It's very important and very effective. Your Excellency, another question from Rotary Club of Amman, Jarash, President Ani. Your Excellency, are persons with physical and or mental challenges included in the portal?
A very good question. Let me maybe take, again, one step back before that. As far as we're concerned, we inherited a very interesting legacy system, both in education and employment and otherwise. That focuses on cookie cutter approach, where everybody is being given a standardized test, being approached in a standardized way, and so on and so forth. And therefore, a vast majority of people, they find themselves in the peripheries. They find themselves on both sides of the scale. And so the new age thinking with regards to both empowerment, upskilling, employment, investment, and so on, is to play to people's strengths. And so just to answer the past president's question, what we look at is we look at the values and the value add that can be provided by that particular individual. They might no longer be extremely well-rounded, but they can be stellar in particular areas. And so the new age thinking of this is that you actually do not want extremely well-rounded individuals, because what happens with well-rounded individuals is that it sort of plateaus certain areas. What you actually want is people that have a deep dive, a deep interest in certain areas. And so what we found is with individuals with particular disabilities, whether they're physical disabilities or even mental disabilities like ADHD, dyslexia, and the likes, what we found is that when you look at it from that perspective, when you look at it from what their strengths are, they and figure out ways to capitalize on those strengths and monetize those strengths, it becomes extremely empowering for them, and they become extremely active members of society and of the ventures that we're doing for them. So yes, the answer is the new approach very, very strongly supports people with disability.
Excellency, just came from, Ministry of Education also are doing some program like this. Any cooperation or between the Ministry of Young Generation and Youth and Ministry of Education, especially for the disabled and physically or mental difficulties?
So as you're aware, the ministry The Ministry of Youth and Sports has expanded its mandate by order of cabinet and the leadership, of course. And so you need to understand that the Ministry of Youth speaks for its constituency, and its constituency are the youth. And so what happens is, where Ministry of Education provides a service and regulates a service, we are the end users of the service, okay? And so what you see is when you're dealing with the Supreme Council for Education, Training, Development, the Ministry of Youth is at the heart of that, providing end user feedback on what the Ministry of Education is providing or as a vendor. And so also, when you look at the programs that are taking place with the Ministry of Education, our job is to provide them, again, with the same feedback. We're supposed to tell them whether something is working, not working for their youths, and then they try to iterate it and then come back. So yes, we're in very close coordination and collaboration with the Ministry of Education.
Thank you very much. I have many questions for you, Your Excellency, but let me end with one question. Is there any analytical program that review on the way the current employment of the locals and how it is done in particular?
Okay, this is a good question. Look, with regards to analytics and with regards to data analysis, what we're doing with the employability skills portal, remember the bit that I was talking about earlier. The employability skills portal is a database. And again, this is only version 1.0. We're going to go through version 2.0, 3.0, and so on. So what the employability skills portal does is, number one, it identifies the skills that are required for a particular job. But also, number two, on the back end, it looks at who was employed for that particular job. And then number three, if they're no longer suited for that job, we can try to establish why. Because remember that the purpose behind everything that we do is to find the strengths of certain individuals. And so instead of pushing them towards or guiding them towards jobs that are not within their strengths, we need to sort of amend the direction and move the other way. There was no way that this form of nationwide career guidance would have been able, or you could have even imagined this prior to adoption of analytics. So the answer is yes, absolutely. Absolutely, but to manage expectations, this is only the first generation of this technology. And so future iterations of this technology that is being developed here will definitely add a lot of value.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It was a great session. Great to have you, and very informative and supportive.
Thank you.
Again, I would like to thank Badr Selail and Jelena Rotaract, and wish you all good day. And Your Excellency, today, Friday, we brought you. Thank you very much, Jelena, Badr, and again, back to Lamis. Thank you.